Welcome everyone. These are my contents. First of all, I deal with introduction, then what is feminism, history of feminism, waves of feminism, according to thoughts and demands, types of feminism, post-colonial feminism and third world feminism, post-structural or post-modern feminism, women's writing, some feminist writers, conclusion, and then reference. Introduction. Feminism is the belief in social, economic, and political equality of the sexes. Although largely originating in the West, feminism is manifested worldwide and is represented by various institutions committed to activity on behalf of women's rights and interests. Women have been oppressed for as long as history. This oppression is a very similar tragedy to the oppression that occurred daily towards all kinds of minority groups. But women are not a minority group. Women are not defined by color, by spoken language, by class, or by class. Since women are not a minority group, their unequal treatment has gone unnoticed by many. The birth of feminism is to establish the women equality rights as men in society. It's the belief in social, economic, and political equality of the sexes. Feminism is an important issue in the present time, especially to the women. Here, our intentions is to describe all the issue relate feminism is, what is to it, how it is emerged, related theory, etc. What is feminism? Feminist theory aims to understand the nature of gender inequality and focuses on gender politics, power relations, and sexuality. Feminism is also based on experience of gender role and relation. Feminist political activists commonly campaign on issues such as reproduction rights, violence within a domestic partnership, maternity leave, equal pay, sexual harassment, discrimination, and sexual violence. Themes explored in feminism include patriarchy, stereotyping, objectification, objectification, and oppressions. History of feminism. In 1872, France and Netherlands used first the term feminism. After that, in 1890, Britain and in 1910, United States used it for female rights. The history of feminism comprises and narratives of the movement and ideologies which have aimed at equal rights for women, while feminist rights around the world have differed in causes, goals, and intentions depending on time, culture, and country. Most Western feminist historians assert that all movements that work to obtain women's rights should be considered feminist movements even when they did not apply the term to themselves. Some other historians limit the term feminist to the modern feminist movements and its progeny and use the label proto-feminism to describe early movements. Although the waves construct has been commonly used to describe the history of feminism, the concept has been also criticized by non-white feminists for ignoring and erasing the history between the waves by choosing to focus solely on a few famous figures on the perspective of a white Borgese woman and on popular events and for being erratic and colonialist. Waves of feminism. First wave feminism. At the end of 19th century and beginning of 20th century, the first wave feminism starts. First real political movement of the Western world is first wave feminism. First wave feminism is first real political movement for the Western world. In first wave feminism, in the year 1848, about 200 women met in a church and for some revolution like right to vote, reproductive rights, equality, etc. Congress finally passed the 19th Amendment in 1920 and gave women the right to vote. This was almost 30 years after New Zealand became the first country where women could vote. Feminists such as Voltaire de Sailor and Margaret Sanger were still active in campaigning of women's sexual reproduction and economic rights at this time. The second wave. The second wave was started in 1960s and ends to 1980s. The three types of feminism um, the three main type of feminism emerged in this wave is liberal, radical, and cultural, reducing gender discrimination and promoting equality. Stella Friedman compares that first wave focused on rights such as suffrage, whereas the second wave was largely concerned with other issues of equality such as ending discrimination. The feminist activist and author Carol Haynes coined the slogan, I quote, "The personal is political," unquote, which became synopsis with the second wave. The third wave starts in 1990 and ends in 20th century. The phrase third wave feminism was coined in 1992 by Rebecca Walker, a 23-year-old black bisexual woman. Reaction of issues which were not solved in previous waves, and it is a continuation of the second wave because in the second wave demands not completed, so that's why the third wave feminism is started to gain that demand. And they were able to think about other aspects of their identity, welcoming individuality, and uh, this is called an era of reclaiming. While many ideas and many movements swirled around in this time, the one rule was that there weren't rule. A woman should choose how she live her life. Fourth wave feminism. Fourth wave feminism starts around 2012. It is focused on sexual harassment, body shaming, and rape culture. Key component was the use of social media to highlight and address these concerns. Focus on the empowerment of women. However, with the Me Too movement and a resurgence of attack was um, women's rights like empowerment, equality, and freedom. Transgenders' rights are a big part of conversation too. Feminism has often been an unwelcoming and hostile place for transgender women. According to the thoughts and demands types of feminism, liberal feminism. Liberal feminism includes social, political, and legal rights of women, main focus on suffrage, education, and equality. Radical feminism. Females demands that patriarchy should be finished. Uh, want and they wanted to finish these issues from roots. Cultural feminism. Cultural feminism demanded that the society must have the glance of women's equality and women are unique. Women must get the equal rights to work in society. Social and Marxist feminism, financially and social exploitation, marriage, maternity leave, reproduction, prostitution for the continuation of women. Social and Marxist feminism demands finance and social exploitation, marriage, maternity leave, reproduction, prostitution for the condition of women. Ecofeminism. Ecofeminism is here woman is related to women. It's compare a woman with nature. A man have destroyed the as a man have destroyed the environment for their benefits, they have controlled the woman for the past. To save the rights of women is needed for society. Black feminism. Racism and sexism are two sides of a coin. Black women should also get the equal rights as white women. Separatist feminism. Separatist feminism is no man except the feminism from heart is for that no man accept feminism from their heart. A man shows somewhere that he is uh, woman, superior than woman. I feminism. The full form of I feminism is individual feminism. It focused on choices of individuals, works for freedom, peace, and harmony. Woman herself is responsible for her status. Women's writings. Women's writing came to exist as a separate category of scholarly interest recently in the relatively recently. In the West, second wave feminism promoted a general revolution of women's historical contribution as various academic subdisciplined such as women's history and uh, women's writing developed in response to belief that women's live and contribution have been underrepresented as area of scholarly interest. Much of this early period of feminist literary scholarship was given over to the discovery and reclamation of text by women. Studies such as Dale Splender's Mothers of the Novel and James Spencer's The Rise of the Woman Novelist 1986 were good breaking in their intentions that women have also been writing. Virago Press began to publish its large list of 19th and early 20th century novelists novel in 1975 and became one of the first commercial presses to join in the project of reclamation. In the 1980s, Pandora Press, responsible for publishing Splendor's study, issued a companion line of 19th century novel written by women's. Another early pioneer of feminist writing is Charlotte Charlotte Perkins Gilman, whose most notable work was The Yellow Wallpaper. Then feminist writers Louise Arigri. Louise Arigri is a Belgian-born French feminist philosopher, lingu- linguist, psycholinguist, psychoanalyst, and cultural theorist who exclaimed the uses and misuses of language in relation to women. She was born in 3rd May 1930 Bernstedt, Belgium. Her notable works are Women on the Market, The Sex Which Is Not One. Helen Saxius. Helen Saxius is a professor, French feminist writer, post playwright, philosophy, philosopher, literary critic, and theory and rhetorician. Saxion is best known for her article The Laugh of the Medusa, which established her as one of the early thinkers in post-structural feminism. The newly born woman coming to writing, three step of the ladder of writing, stigma, surviving text. She is also the author of numerous plays and works in fiction. Judith Pamela Butler. Judith Pamela Butler is an American philosopher and gender theorist whose work has influenced political philosophy, ethnic, and the field of third wave feminism. Queer theory and literary theory. Her notable works are Gender Trouble, Feminism and the Subversion of Identity, Bodies That Matter on the Discursive Limits of Sex, Undoing Gender, etc. Simone de Beauvoir. Simone Louise Ernestine Marie Bertrand de Beauvoir was a French writer, intellectual, existentialist, philosopher, political activist, feminist, and social theorist. Though she did not consider herself a philosopher, she had a significant influence on both feminist existentialism and feminist theory. His notable works are The Woman Destroyed, The Second Sex, Sandra Gilbert and Susan Gruber. The Mad Woman in the Attic, The Woman Writer, and the 19th Century Literary Imagination is a 1979 book by Sandra Gilbert and Susan Gruber in which they examine Victorian literature from a feminist perspective. Bharti Mukherjee. Bharti Mukherjee is one of the well-known feminist writer and novelist whose writing focus on major issues of the woman. She is an Indian-born American writer. She was born in 1940 in Kolkata and her aim of life was to become a writer since her childhood. Her notable works are Jasmine, Miss New India, Wife, etc. Conclusion. A concluding point which is very powerful is that women are not always actively oppressed, and for the most part, women are part of a lot of the actual oppressions. The unequal treatment of women in society originates not in men but from underneath of obvious surface where social structure dwell. It is difficult to determine exactly where female oppressions began. So many people interpret feminism as a movement that blames men. This interpretation of feminism is incorrect yet popular. It is important to know that feminism is about equality, no anger. To involve oneself in the feminist movement is to search for a higher quality of life for all women, where there is no difference between men and women. We wish that we will be able to establish equal rights in society. Thank you.